The server room at the heart of OmniLogic Systems was a sanctuary of cold air and blinking blue lights. We called it the core. It was a place where logic lived, where Boolean operators decided true or false, and where the chaotic mess of human demand was translated into the rigid, unforgiving structure of code. My name is Arthur Penn-Halligan. I am the lead systems architect. I have been with OmniLogic for 12 years. Back when it was just 4 guys in a garage eating ramen noodles and coding in PHP. Now it is a billion-dollar enterprise platform handling logistics for half the shipping companies on the eastern seaboard. I wrote the kernel. I built the database architecture. I know the pulse of this digital organism better than I know my own blood pressure. I am not a rock star developer. I am not a ninja. I am a janitor of logic. I clean up messes. I reinforce structures. I ensure that when a client in New Jersey presses the submit button, the cargo in Savannah actually moves. My team consisted of 4 back-end engineers who were brilliant, introverted, and deeply allergic to corporate nonsense. Then came Chloe Vane. Chloe was hired as the vice president of product vision. Not product management and not engineering. Her title was vision. She came from a background of app gamification and social interface synergy. She did not know the difference between a left join and a Cartesian product, but she knew how to use words like paradigm shift and disruptive innovation in a way that made the board of directors salivate. She swept into the core on her first day wearing 6-inch heels and a smile that looked like it had been tested by a focus group. She didn't look at the monitors. She didn't look at the complex architectural diagrams on the whiteboard. She looked at the empty space on the wall where she wanted to put a motivational poster. "This space," she announced to the room at large, her voice echoing off the server racks, "lacks energy. It lacks a spark. We need to pivot OmniLogic from a utility to an experience." I swiveled in my chair to face her. "Ms. Vane," I said, keeping my voice low and even. "We build logistic software. Our clients want their containers to arrive on time. They don't want an experience. They want reliability." She turned to me. Her eyes narrowed slightly before the bright smile re-engaged. "Arthur, right? The legacy architect," she said. "I have read your file. You have done adequate work maintaining the status quo, but maintenance is the enemy of growth. We are going to shake things up." That was the beginning. It wasn't a handshake. It was an eviction notice for reality. The project at the center of the storm was called Titan. Titan was supposed to be a complete refactoring of our database sharding system. Our current setup was robust but aging. As we added more clients, the query times were slowly creeping up. I had a plan laid out. It was a 6-month phased migration to a new distributed SQL cluster. It was boring, it was safe, and it was guaranteed to work with 0 downtime. Chloe saw the roadmap and she scoffed. She called a meeting in the ideation loft, which was formerly known as Conference Room B. She projected a slide deck onto the wall that was 90% stock photos of people high-fiving and 10% incoherent text. "The board wants artificial intelligence," Chloe declared. "They want machine learning optimization. They want Titan to not just store data, but to predict shipping routes." "That is a different product," I said calmly. "That is an analytics layer. Titan is the database. If we try to shove a machine learning model into the transaction layer, we will introduce massive latency. The system will crawl." "You are thinking too small, Arthur," she said, pacing the room with energetic strides. "You are thinking in constraints. I am thinking in possibilities. We are going to launch Titan with fully integrated predictive AI in 3 months. 3 months? My lead engineer, Vane, choked on his water. The data migration alone takes 4 months if we do it safely. Then do it faster, Chloe said, waving a hand dismissively. Use the cloud, spin up more instances, automate it. It is not about computing power, I tried to explain, feeling a headache forming behind my eyes. It is about data integrity. We cannot risk corrupting the manifest logs. If we lose a single container ID, that is a lawsuit." Chloe stopped pacing. She leaned over the table, looking at me with an expression of deep pity. "Arthur, I feel like you are being a blocker. You are creating friction where there should be flow. Is this because I am a woman?" The room went dead silent. Davin looked down at his shoes. The air conditioning hummed loudly in the uncomfortable pause. "This has nothing to do with you being a woman, Chloe," I said, keeping my voice steady. "It has to do with the fact that you are asking us to defy the laws of computer science. You cannot migrate petabytes of data instantly without risk." "I am hearing a lot of cannot and not enough how might we," she said icily. "I am the vision lead. You are the mechanic. I tell you where we are driving. You just keep the engine running. Do not mansplain technical limitations to me. I have led teams at startups you have only dreamed of working for." She ended the meeting. 2 days later, she presented the Vane acceleration plan to the CEO. It was my Titan roadmap, but with the timeline slashed by 60%, the safety checks removed, and the predictive AI bolted onto the front end. In reality, the AI component was just a basic linear regression script she had found online. And the worst part? She took my name off the header. It was her plan now, her vision, her triumph. I confronted her in the break room the next morning. "You stripped the data verification protocols from the roadmap," I said. She was making a matcha latte. She didn't turn around. "I streamlined the process," she said. "We don't need triple redundancy. It's redundant. That is why they call it that." "Those checks prevent race conditions," I said, stepping closer. "Without them, if 2 clients update a manifest at the same time, the database won't know which one is real. We will lose data." She turned, sipping her latte, a foam mustache on her upper lip. "Arthur, you are obsessed with failure. You are paralyzed by it. That is why you are still just an architect after 12 years. Leaders take risks. I am taking the risk. You just execute. If you take the credit, you take the responsibility," I told her. "I always do," she smiled, "but it won't fail because I inspire my teams to greatness, unlike you." That was the moment I stopped caring. It wasn't a tantrum. It wasn't a dramatic storming out. It was a quiet internal switch flipping from protect the company to protect Arthur. I realized that OmniLogic had changed. It was no longer a meritocracy, it was a theater, and Chloe was the lead actress. The board didn't want the truth. They wanted the buzzwords. They wanted the vision. If I continued to fight her, I would be fired for being toxic and resistant to change. She had already primed the HR department with complaints about my aggressive communication style, which consisted solely of pointing out logical fallacies. So I let go. I didn't sabotage anything. I didn't insert bugs. That would be unprofessional. I simply stopped saving them. I stopped doing the shadow work. I stopped checking the logs on weekends. I stopped reviewing the junior developer's code for edge cases that Chloe insisted would never happen. I strictly adhered to my job description as redefined by Chloe's new organizational chart. I was no longer the lead. I was a technical resource. I answered tickets. I wrote the code exactly as specified in her design documents, even when I knew the specification was flawed. When Kenji, our junior developer, came to me worried about the memory leaks in the new AI module, I didn't fix it for him. "Did you raise this with Chloe?" I asked. "Yeah," Kenji said, looking nervous and wringing his hands. "She said optimization is a Phase 2 concern, and we need to focus on shipping features." In the old days, I would have stayed late. I would have patched the leak myself to save the launch. "Then follow the directive," I said, turning back to my screen. "Optimization is Phase 2. "But the server will crash if traffic spikes," Kenji argued. "That is a risk the product owner has accepted," I said. "Document your concern in an email to her, print it out, save it, and then commit the code as requested." I watched the weeks tick by. The codebase, once a pristine cathedral of logic, began to rot. It became bloated, unstable, and fragile. The nightly builds were failing 30% of the time. The test environment was throwing errors that Chloe dismissed as ghosts in the machine. She was riding high. She presented progress reports to the board that were pure fiction. She showed charts going up and to the right. She claimed Titan was ahead of schedule and under budget. She took credit for every successful compile and blamed legacy debt, meaning me, for every delay. She isolated me. She moved my desk to the back corner, away from the team, claiming she wanted to give me space to focus. In reality, she wanted to keep me from pointing out that the emperor had no clothes. She held stand-up meetings without me. She brought the team donuts and told them I was old school and didn't get the new vibe. I didn't mind. I had my headphones, I had my tea, and I had my personal log of every single email, every single bad instruction, every single rejected warning. I was building a dossier, not of revenge, but of reality. The launch date was set for Black Friday, the busiest shipping day of the year. I had suggested, in writing, that we launch in July, during the lull. Chloe called that cowardice. She wanted to launch on Black Friday to prove the robustness of the system under maximum load. It was a stunt, a gamble with hundreds of millions of dollars of client inventory. 3 days before the launch, Chloe came to my desk. She didn't sit, she hovered. "Arthur," she said, "I need you to sign off on the readiness review." She dropped a document on my desk. It was a compliance form stating that the system was 100% bug-free and ready for deployment. I scanned it. "I can't sign this, Chloe." "Excuse me?" Her voice went sharp. "The system is not bug-free. There are critical race conditions in the shard management. The memory leak in the AI module has not been addressed. If traffic exceeds 10,000 requests per second, the database will lock." "We have simulated traffic," she snapped. "It held." "You simulated average traffic," I corrected. "Black Friday is peak. It will be 5 times the average." "You are being negative again," she sighed, rolling her eyes toward the ceiling. "You are trying to sabotage my launch because you were bitter that I took your little pet project and made it a star." "I am refusing to lie on a compliance form," I said. "That is fraud." She leaned in close. I could smell the expensive coffee on her breath. "Arthur, you serve at the pleasure of the executive team. I am the executive team. If you don't sign this, I will have you written up for insubordination. I will tell the board that you are refusing to do your job because you can't handle a woman in charge. Do you know how that looks in today's climate? Do you want to be that guy?" There it was again, the shield, the weapon. She wrapped her incompetence in the flag of social justice, daring me to shoot through it. I looked at her. I saw the fear behind her eyes. She knew the system was shaky, but she was too deep in her own lie to turn back. She needed a scapegoat, or she needed a rubber stamp. "I won't sign it," I said, "but I won't stop you." "What does that mean?" she asked. "It means I am recusing myself from the deployment decision. I am a technical resource. I advise. You decide. You have the authority to override my concerns. If you are confident, you sign it." She glared at me, her jaw working. She snatched the paper off my desk. "Fine," she hissed. "I'll sign it, and when this is a massive success, everyone will know that I dragged this company across the finish line while you dragged your feet." "Noted," I said. She stormed off. She signed the release. She sent an email to the whole company announcing that Titan was go for launch, crediting her relentless vision and the hard work of the team while pointedly omitting me. Black Friday arrived. The office was buzzing. There was a party atmosphere in the main atrium. Chloe had ordered catering. There were balloons. The sales team was popping champagne at 9 a.m. I was at my desk, packing my personal belongings into a box. I wasn't quitting, not yet, but I knew what was coming. At 10 a.m., the switch was thrown. Traffic from the old system was routed to Titan. For the first hour, it held. Traffic was moderate. Chloe was doing a victory lap, walking around with a mimosa, accepting high fives. She walked by my desk and gave me a smug, pitying smile. "See, Arthur," she said loud enough for the nearby developers to hear, "the sky isn't falling. You worry too much." I just nodded and took a sip of my tea. At 11:30 a.m., the East Coast woke up. The shipping manifests began to pour in. The requests per second ticked up. 5,000, 8,000. I pulled up the dashboard on my monitor. Not the flashy one Chloe had built for the executives, which showed simple green bars, but the raw kernel logs. Memory usage was spiking. The garbage collector wasn't keeping up. The AI module, which was trying to predict routes for thousands of containers simultaneously, was eating CPU cycles like candy. At 11:45 a.m., the first lock occurred, a race condition. 2 trucks tried to claim the same container ID. Without the verification protocols I had insisted on, the database accepted both. Data corruption began. At 12 p.m., the traffic hit 12,000 requests per second. The memory leak in the AI module hit the ceiling. The server didn't just slow down, it seized. On the big screen in the atrium, the green bars froze. Then error messages began to cascade down the side console. 500 internal server error, 502 bad gateway, fatal exception. The cheering stopped. "What is happening?" I heard the CEO, Marcus, shout from the front of the room. "It is just a glitch," Chloe shouted back, her voice raising an octave. "Just a visual bug. The system is fine." It wasn't fine. Phones began to ring. First 1, then 10, then the entire sales floor was a cacophony of ringing landlines and buzzing cell phones. Clients were calling. Trucks were stuck at gates. Cranes were halted with containers dangling in midair because the system couldn't verify ownership. "Davin!" Chloe screamed, running into the engineering bay. "Fix it! Why is it stopping?" Davin was frantically typing at his keyboard. "The database is locked, Chloe. The AI module consumed all the RAM and crashed the SQL process. It is corrupting the shard index." "Turn off the AI," she yelled. "We can't," Kenshi cried out, looking pale. "You said to hard-code it into the kernel. You said we didn't need a toggle because it was core to the experience." "Then reboot it," she demanded. "If we reboot now while the write queue is full, we lose the last hour of transactions," Davin said. "That is millions of dollars of cargo lost." Chloe spun around. She saw me. I was sitting at my desk, hands folded, watching the logs. I wasn't typing. I wasn't panicking. I was observing. She ran to me. The arrogance was gone, replaced by sheer, unadulterated terror. "Arthur, do something!" I looked at her. "I am a technical resource, Chloe. I execute approved designs. The approved design has no kill switch for the AI and no redundancy for the database. This is the system operating exactly as you specified." "I don't care about the specs," she shrieked. "Fix it! You are the architect." "I am the legacy architect," I corrected gently. "You are the vision lead. This is the Vane acceleration plan. Surely your vision accounts for high traffic?" "Arthur, please!" She grabbed the edge of my desk, her knuckles white. "The CEO is watching. The board is watching. Help me!" "I tried to help you," I said. "For 3 months, you told me I was a blocker. You told me I was creating friction. You told HR I was intimidating you. If I touch the system now without a formal change request, I am violating your protocols. I am staying in my silo, Chloe, just like you wanted." "I am ordering you!" she screamed. "I need that in writing," I said. "There is no time for writing." The CEO stormed into the engineering bay. His face was purple. "Why is Maersk calling me asking where their ships are? Why is the system down?" Chloe turned to him. An instinct took over, the survival instinct of the credit thief. She pointed a trembling finger at me. "It is Arthur!" she cried. "He refused to optimize the code. He left a legacy bug in the system to sabotage the launch. I told him to fix it weeks ago and he ignored me." The room went quiet. Even the phones seemed to dim. The sheer audacity of the lie was breathtaking. The CEO looked at me. "Arthur, is this true?" I stood up slowly. I didn't look angry. I didn't look defensive. I looked like a man who had brought an umbrella to a rainstorm while everyone else was wearing swimsuits. "No, sir," I said. "He is lying," Chloe insisted. "He has been hostile to my leadership since day one. He hates that a woman is in charge. He wanted this to fail." "Sir," I said to the CEO, ignoring her, "may I connect my laptop to the main screen?" The CEO nodded. "Do it." I walked to the front of the room and plugged in my HDMI cable. The big screen in the atrium, which was currently showing a frozen loading bar, flickered and changed to show my desktop. I opened a folder named Project Titan Communications. "Here," I said, opening an email from 2 months ago, "is my warning that the AI module causes memory leaks under load." Chloe's response: "Stop being negative, Arthur. Vision over details." I opened another file. "Here is the email from last month where I explained that removing the data verification protocols would cause race conditions and data corruption." Chloe's response: "Speed is the priority. Redundancy is waste. Do what I say." I opened a third. "And here is the ticket from Kenji 3 weeks ago asking to fix the exact bug that is currently crashing the system. I marked it critical." Chloe closed the ticket. Her comment: "Post-launch concern. Focus on the UI." I scrolled through the list. Dozens of emails, transcripts of meetings, screenshots of Slack messages where she berated the team for raising safety concerns. It was a comprehensive autopsy of a disaster foretold. "And finally," I said, opening the PDF of the launch authorization, "here is the release form, signed by Chloe Vane, overriding my refusal to sign." I turned to the CEO. "I did not sabotage the system, sir. I let it be built exactly as Miss Vane demanded. I stepped back because I was told my expertise was an obstacle. I let her drive the car. She drove it into a wall." Chloe was shaking. She looked at the screen, then at the CEO, then at the team. There was no boys' club to blame here. There was no unconscious bias. There was just code, and code does not lie. "Arthur," the CEO said, his voice quiet, "can you fix it?" "Not immediately," I said honestly. "The database is corrupted. We have to restore from the backup I took at 9 a.m. this morning before the traffic spike." You have a backup?" Chloe whispered. "Of course I have a backup," I said. "I am a systems architect. I always have a backup. But it is on the cold storage server. It will take 4 hours to restore. We will lose all data generated between 10 a.m. and now. That is the price of the Vane acceleration plan." "Do it," the CEO said. I sat down and began to type. The next 4 hours were grueling. The company lost millions in refunds and penalties. The stock price dipped 8% by market close. The reputation of OmniLogic took a beating it would take years to recover from. But we recovered the core data. The ships started moving again, albeit with a 4-hour gap in the logs. Chloe didn't last the day. She was escorted out of the building not by security, but by the legal team. It turns out that negligence on that scale, when documented so thoroughly, voids your golden parachute. She tried to spin it as a hostile work environment on her way out, screaming about how the patriarchy had conspired to bring her down, about how I was a misogynist who had set a trap. I watched her go from my desk. I felt no joy. I felt no triumph. It wasn't a victory. It was just a waste of money, a waste of time, and a waste of talent. The CEO came to my desk later that evening. The office was empty, save for the cleaning crew and the hum of the servers. "Arthur," he said. He looked exhausted. We owe you an apology. We got caught up in the flash. We forgot about the foundation." It happens, I said, typing a command to re-enable the data verification protocols. I want you to take over product, he said. Vice President of Engineering. You run the show. No more vision leads. I stopped typing. I looked at the cursor blinking on the black screen. No, I said. He blinked. Excuse me? I don't want to be VP, I said. I don't want to deal with the board. I don't want to play politics. I want to build systems that work. I want my old title back. I want my team back. And I want a raise. Done, he said immediately. Name your price. And one more thing, I said. Anything. The next time you hire someone who uses the word synergy more than once in an interview, I said, I walk and I take the kernel passwords with me. The CEO managed a weak smile. Agreed. I stayed at OmniLogic for another 5 years. We rebuilt Titan the right way. Slowly, methodically, boringly. It works perfectly. It doesn't predict the future, but it never loses a package. I heard Chloe ended up at a crypto startup, something about democratizing finance through social blockchain narratives. Last I checked, that company is under investigation by the SEC. I don't worry about it. I have my code, I have my servers, I have the cold air and the blue lights. There is a peace in knowing that no matter how loud the narrative gets, eventually you have to compile the code, and the compiler doesn't care about your story. It only cares if you closed your brackets.